Welcome to the Fiat Career Coaching Podcast, a podcast focused on helping you encounter God through your work and everyday moments. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. I am joined by Denise Trull. She is a writer, she is a wife, a mother, and just someone who I have followed on Substack for about a year and a half now. A friend introduced me to her writing, and then I saw a podcast episode where she was on, and I this is gonna sound weird, but like I fell in love with you in the least creepy way as possible. But I just really admired just the way, Denise, you present yourself. You're just a truly grounded person, very humble, very down to earth, and it just shows in your writing. Like every time I read a piece of yours, I'm just like, wow. It's
Oh,
just,
thank
it
you.
just, it really, you just have a way of noticing details and then being able to articulate them in a way that it's so relatable to all of us. And I just really admire you as a writer, and I hope one day to write as well as you. And so
Oh, thank you, Valentina.
you're welcome. And so I'm just so happy to be able to talk to you and for you to share a little bit about your writing, your process, and about your faith. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. This is wonderful. I love your name, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank
So
you. Thank you very much. So Denise, for those who don't know you, can you please share a little bit about yourself? Just where did you grow up, and like what brought you into writing, or what got you started to write?
okay, so I am the youngest of 8 children, and I grew up in an old suburb of St. Louis, Missouri, and I've lived here most of my life since I was 2 years old. And I was the youngest of 8 kids, and my father and mother, my mom is Canadian. She's from Quebec, and my dad went to medical school in Quebec. So they picked up a lot of really beautiful traditions. And my mom went to the Ursuline Sisters there for school and boarding school. And when she married my dad, she brought all those customs with her down to the United States. And so um, we ended up in St. Louis, Missouri, and I went to a parish school, Christ the King, and it was, in hindsight, I think it was probably one of the most tremendous educations that you could have in a grade school. There were some nuns and some lay people, but two of them got me writing and also got me reading more. One of them would read the Chronicles of Narnia out loud to us, and at the end of the day, we were like in sixth grade, and she just would read, and she created this magic world when she read to us, and this whole group of sixth graders, you know how crazy they can be. Everybody was like wrapped in attention, and I thought, oh, there's power in this, in literature and in poetry and in a beautiful story told. So that's kind of, I was inspired that way by a teacher in grade school. And then I went on to a high school that wasn't so great, but it was a parochial high school. And then after high school, I went on to I attended a college called Thomas Aquinas College, and it's a classical school, and it was one of the first of its kind to come back. And my dad had always had beautiful books, and he loved monks, he loved Gregorian chant, he loved all kinds of classical music. So we grew up with that just all in the background. But I grew up also in the 70s, and the ugliness was starting to come in. It was just like, so the church kind of abandoned a lot of the beautiful customs and the traditions, although I love the church. I mean, but at that time, it was really hard to find beauty because everything was up in an upheaval. So when I went to TAC, or Thomas Aquinas College, that was my first taste of seeing what my dad had experienced as a young man. And I was like, the mass was beautiful. It was Novus Ordo, and it was everything was, with the church, but it was incredibly beautiful, and the choirs were beautiful, and they were made up of students who sang. And I studied theology and philosophy, and I think that's where I began to open up to the possibility of beauty and truth. And I had gone to France when I was at the end of high school, and I had already been writing poetry and stories and stuff during high school, and I remember that also being a real changing point for me, seeing how ancient Europe was and how there was so much beauty there and so much to study, and the atmosphere was really beautiful. Paris was not a disappointment at all. It was so great. And that's when I decided I wanted to become a writer. But when you're an 18-year-old in high school, you're like, you want to end up in an attic somewhere like Louisa May Alcott, and it's all very unpractical. So, but that's what my dream was. I really did want to be a writer at the end of high school. And then when I went to college, it just grew there. And then I eventually had several different jobs. And then I met my husband. And so when I met Tony, we got married, started having children, and I forgot all about writing. Well, children take up all your time. And I'm not the kind of person, although there are people who can do this. I have good friends who can. Um, I could not write while I had children. I forgot all about it actually. Well, that dream is over. So, but I homeschooled them, and we had such a great time. I have 7 kids, and so we homeschooled, and I did drama with them. I taught drama at the homeschool co-op for years and years. So that was a way for us to, that was me getting my art fix, but it was also a way to share that with my kids because they were in all the plays and everything. And so that's how we got to the end. And now I am, my kids are all grown and flown, and I'm a grandmother of 2 little boys and a little girl. And the little girl is with her dad here in St. Louis, but my other kids are like all over the place. So I had a blog. I started a blog when I became an empty nester, but then I discovered Facebook, and I was able to keep in touch with all my kids, which is one of my main goals. And so I started telling them just what I was doing that day. So I just type it into my Facebook and send it out. And then I started thinking, well, I'm just going to comment on what I'm seeing every day, and then I started writing, and it started feeling really good, and like, oh my gosh, I'm writing again. So it came kind of quietly to me. Um, and then I started discovering books. And that seemed almost providential too. Like, um, I would I was in the basement one day putting my laundry in the washing machine, and we have a ton of books down in the basement that never made it to the upstairs when we moved. And I found a copy of Emily Dickinson's life, and I had gotten halfway through it somewhere along the line, but I picked it up and I started reading it, and I brought it upstairs, and I that was the day that I just um, decided I was going to write again, because Emily Dickinson and I are good friends. So she's always inspired me. So then when I read her life, I started discovering other people from her time period. And then I went over to England and met all those people from her time period. And um, one lady in particular, because I'm 68, and I didn't start writing again till I was maybe 63 or 64. And so here it's this book. It's called The Paper Garden. It's
Oh.
by Molly Peacock, but she writes about a lady named Mary Delaney. She had a long life. She lived in Scotland with her husband, then her husband died, and she decided to, she loved plants and flowers. So she decided she was going to make paper cuts of all the flowers that she knew in England and in all the hot houses. And she knew a lot of very wealthy people, and they would have her because she was delightful to have as a guest. So they would show her all their hothouse flowers, and she took paper and she cut this paper into these gorgeous um, prints. And eventually they made it into the British Museum. And she's like one of their treasures. And she was 78 when she did that. And I thought, I'm inspired. It was great. It's not over till it's over. So she inspired me most of all. Reading her life, and then also reading natural history. I love natural history, and I get so much from the people who write it. There's a lot of metaphors in there, and a lot of um, ways to look at your life through natural history. And so I'm more that now. That when I was younger, I read all the novels. I read Austen and the Brontes, but I'm not so much of a novel person anymore. I like biographies, and I like natural history. Yeah. So that's how it came about. And so my kids started looking at Facebook, and they know. And then all my other friends from Thomas Aquinas who are on Facebook, they go, "Oh my gosh, this is great!" So then because they all knew what I was talking about because we all went to school together, and so I finally I met somebody here in St. Louis who was a writer, and he really helped me a lot. And then I discovered Dapple Things magazine. I don't know if have you ever heard of Dapple Things? It's a beautiful online magazine, dapplethings.org, and it's writers can write in to there, and they have a blog on Facebook, and they have a blog on their own website, and it's mostly just a study of beauty. So whatever someone sees as beautiful or moving to them, they write essays, and they'll take them and publish them. And up to that point, I had never published anything because if are you a writer, Valentina?
I am. I am.
Yeah. So you kind of want to don't tell anyone about your writing because you just want to hold it close because it's you, it's part of you. So I was really afraid to do it, but I wrote this piece on Nathaniel Hawthorne of all people. He's a lovely man. So I sent it to Dappled Things, and then I got terrified like the minute I hit the button. And so I told my friend, I go, "Oh my gosh, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that." He goes, "Well, just see what happens." So they took it and they published it, and I was like, I loved them because they knew I was old, and they really really liked it. And so then after that, I just kept sending them things, and they kept liking it. And so I started at Dabble Things, and then Carrie Grass. Do you know Carrie Grass?
Yes.
So Carrie got a hold of me, and she and Noelle were doing Theology of Home, and I had done a lot of, I guess, essays about motherhood and the family, and I loved Theology of Home. I thought it was a great apostolate, and so I started writing for them, and then Claire Dwyer. She interviewed me once on her podcast, and then she sometimes will come over to my Substack and ask if she can publish things on spiritual direction. So I've been there, and then I've published at Adama Ministries, which is new to me. It's an English publication out of Oxford, and it's a priest. He's lovely, and he wanted a couple of things from my Substack, so I just gave them to him. And mostly, I'm on my Substack though. And I moved over from Facebook to Substack because my kids are grown, and Facebook can be kind of a little too much. And so what I do though is I practice on Facebook, and then I turn those essays into essays for my Substack. So I'll have an
Mm.
idea, but I won't have enough time to flesh it out. But I'll put it on Facebook as a smaller post, and then I'll flesh it out later on Substack. But I love and ended up at Substack because you can be whoever you want. I mean, I no one tells me what I should write. Nobody. So you get your own voice on Substack. So that's where I ended up.
Wow.
The
Gosh,
story.
no, I love it. And just this, especially the fact, one, I love how well read you are, but about different genres. Like, and I think that really adds to your writing and it really brings it to life even more. And then I admire your courage in taking that step, even though you were like scared that they were going to reject you, and they obviously didn't. But just because it does take courage to put your writing out there, and then just because, yeah, you don't know what people are gonna think, and
And it's kind of
yeah.
like your baby. You don't want anyone, hurting it or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's
No,
hard.
that's so. Can you share a little bit about like when you first started writing it? You said it was mostly through the inspiration when you were younger of the teacher that you had. Were there did any of your parents write or any of other family members?
Nobody was a writer. I had a brother and sister who were really amazing at math and physics, that kind of thing. And my brother, right above me, introduced me to Tolkien. And so he was an avid reader and he loved fantasy, but he loved Tolkien and he introduced me to that. And there's a couple of teachers, but none of them are writers. So I'm not sure where I got it from, but they did give me, my mom and dad gave me things to write about. Like they cared about beauty, and my mom, especially in the home, she always had these beautiful Christmases and Easters that every one of us remembers them, and we still kind of wax poetic about them. And she brought customs, like religious customs, like for the liturgy of the year, from her stay at the convent in Quebec. So I always have like little oratories around the house and things like that with statues and little pictures, and so she taught me how to do that. So in some sense they gave me the grounding to be a writer, but they themselves did not write. So
Okay. Wow. I'm reminded of something that you had written, I don't remember when, but I think it was a lamp that you received either from your mom, or it was like a green lamp with like a like lampshade. Can you tell that story?
no, it was a driftwood lamp, and
Yes, that's
my
what it was.
husband brought it to the marriage, and I guess
Okay.
he found it in some like secondhand store, and
Okay.
we kept it. It was so awful. It was just so kitschy, and but we put it everywhere we moved and everything, and it turned into this kind of like um, it had all these branches that came out the bottom, so my kids loved it because their action figures were always in there. And then somebody put the TV remote in one of the branches, so it was the all-purpose driftwood lamp. And then I think it broke. I really didn't get rid of it on purpose, but I think when you try to plug it in, it would spark. So I thought this isn't good. So eventually, when we moved to the next house, it disappeared. And my husband was always wondering, where did that go? And I'm like, I don't know. So yes, the history of the driftwood lamp ended when we moved to the next place. But he got to keep his Hawaiian shirts. So
There you go.
yeah.
Some things just don't get let go. Gotta love these
Oh,
customs or
well,
things that we.
you know the stuff you inherit when you put together
Yes.
your house. It's like, oh, it's really
Yes.
funny.
It's kind of funny. Like my husband and I joke. So I don't know how to phrase it without it sounding horrible, but it's hard for me to get sentimental about things. And
Okay.
so, but for him, like he does find a lot of things like just of value. And when we first got married, I was like, nope, this has to go, this has to go. Yeah. And then like our son, now as he's growing, he sees me doing these and saying this. So one day he couldn't find his toy and he's like, Mama, you threw it out, right? Mama, you threw it. I'm like, no. Like that's what I'm associated with.
For
Can't find
reputation.
something. Yes. Can't find something. Mama threw it out. But I do like that certain things like there are memories attached to them. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So can you shared a little bit about how your faith was inspired or just grew in your education and also in college. Can you just share just overarchingly how your what your faith journey has been like and where is it today?
So I do consider myself pretty blessed to have always kept my faith. I really have always believed it from when I was a little girl. Um, it went through the 70s and the 80s, and it sort of drifted away in high school. Not away, but I didn't think about it as much in high school. I still went to mass and everything, but it was college that showed me that the church's doctrine is incredibly important, and it can also be the bedrock for beautiful writing. So the saints, all the writers like Newman, all of them, they were safely ensconced in the doctrine of the church, and therefore they could fly right out, and make that doctrine beautiful for other people. And I saw that all through college, like St. Augustine. We read St. Augustine, we read St. Thomas, we read St. Anselm, and then just all the liturgies are filled with such beautiful, meaningful poetry. And once you start doing the doctrine and you study good philosophy and good theology, then as a poet or someone who's a feeler, which I am, um, you get grounded. So you know, you're not apt to just fly off and join any kind of thing that makes you feel really good or whatever, but is kind of empty. So I really have to thank my school, my college, for grounding me and showing me the beauty of the church's doctrine, first of all. And then after that, I felt safer to expound on the beauty of it. And that's how it came about. So,
That's wonderful. That's
yeah.
absolutely wonderful. I You had a recent piece about you had gone to a friend's house and they had some icons and just a little
Oh,
altar, and then you shared the ones that you have, and that was really really lovely.
yeah.
So I love that.
I love the Byzantine rite. I'm very Western though. So I grew up in the Western church. So I have a great love and admiration for all my friends who are Byzantine, but I only visit every once in a while. I don't belong to a Byzantine church, but I do love all of their customs, and their liturgy is like, oh, it's like gorgeous. It's so much beauty, and there's so much action, and the kids are all there, and it's very almost visceral, like, hands on and beautiful. So, but I am pretty much a Roman. in my I grew up in the Roman church, so yeah.
Um, no, I Same. Well,
Yeah.
I converted, but I do love the richness of our faith and just the
Oh,
beauty
yeah.
in it.
I don't think people realize how, I didn't realize this, but there's like 25 accepted rites in the Catholic Church. So there's all sorts of liturgical rites that are legitimate, and the Catholic Church umbrellas over them. And the Byzantine is one, and then there's a beautiful Indian rite, Malabar, I think it's called. I have a friend who's married to an Indian man from the southern part of India where St. Thomas came over. And they go to the Malabar Rite in St. Louis, and one time they brought me, and it's beautiful as well. So we are rich, you know. And I go both to, um, I go to the Novus Ordo, but I also really, really love the Tridentine Mass. So I go to one of those. We're lucky here in St. Louis because we have two places that are allowed to say it, and I do love it. It's full of symbolism and tradition and just all the metaphors that come out of that mass, and it really made me realize what was going on when we come to mass. So,
Yeah.
and I was hungry for it because I grew up in the 70s with, the draw a rainbow, paint a bunny, that kind of thing, and there was no like catechism or anything when I grew up. So my dad got us through, but the Tridentine Mass is such a beautiful way to find your faith again, and I I love it. But then I also do love the Novus Ordo, the simplicity and the scripture, to the forefront. And here in St. Louis, once again, we have the Basilica, and every Sunday they have a gorgeous mass, and it's Novus Ordo, and it's really quite beautiful. So I am lucky that I get to go to both of those rites, and both of them, you know, feed my soul. So yeah.
No, that's wonderful.
Do you go to the Novus Ordo or?
Yes, we do. And before, when we lived elsewhere, we sometimes went to the Latin Mass, and but just with a with a toddler who had a strong
Yeah,
voice,
I get
like
it.
this isn't gonna work. And so now we go to a parish where there it's a very vibrant parish, lots of kids, and so you it's very not loud, but
Oh, it's good if it's loud. It's great.
and our priest is half deaf, so he's like, it doesn't bother me because I can't hear it anyway.
The perfect pastor of young families.
Yes, exactly. So we fit right in.
Oh, good, good.
Yes. But I'm reminded of a piece that you wrote. This was maybe sometime last year that just really touched me. It was you shared when you were a little girl and you would go to mass with your mom, and that there was a lady who would sit in the back,
Oh
and your
yeah.
mom just really befriended her, and she invited you guys over, and then there was a meal involved, but just the way you described it was so beautiful. Can you please share that story?
Her name. She was from Haiti, and her name was. We called her Madame Benjamin. That's what we called her, and she was always a fixture at mass. And my mom was French Canadian, she couldn't talk English very well, but she befriended all these ladies in our parish. One was Panamanian, one was Chinese, and there was Mrs. Benjamin, and then another lady came from Paris. So this parish was um, pretty. It had a lot of different people in it. So they all became friends, and nobody could talk English. So, but they somehow figured out how to, have these coffees, and my mom would have them all over, and they'd, jibber jabber, and it was really fun. And but she would never come. And then I started in later life. I understood why she didn't come because she had anxiety, and she was always worried and about everything. But when she was in church, I just remember her, even as a 4 year old, I would look up over the pew, and she was so beautiful because she was in prayer. And when she's in prayer, nothing mattered to her. She wasn't anxious at all. And so I think she stayed there because there was peace there. And she prayed for everybody. And she was so beautiful. And she would hug you. And she was like this wonderful, like, warmth all around you. She was just a beautiful person. I had that kind of experience that Madame Benjamin had. It was at a little tiny church that I used to belong to, and it was an evening mass, and the pastor there had a really lovely voice, and his sermons were very they were very literary because he loved reading and everything. So he was a beautiful priest, and um, during the mass, I remember it was so beautiful and so flowing, and it was evening, and the air from the windows was coming in, and it was just one of those moments of grace. And I remember falling asleep for like 5 minutes because it was so beautiful and it was so peaceful. I fell asleep for 5 minutes, and I woke up and I was like completely refreshed. And if you have anxiety, you know that you're always running, your motor is running all the time. So when you feel those moments of absolute peace, it's like incredible. And so to me, that a mass like that, I don't think priests realize, if they try very hard to make a mass beautiful, how much comfort that brings to so many people. And I think that priest explained to me that I always knew this, but it was really beautiful. It's called anamnesis. And it's like you are in time, but on the sanctuary, you're out of time. So you're in two different times at the same time. It really, not just metaphorically, you actually are. And so you're in heaven and you're on earth at the same time during the consecration and after
Mm.
that. And I think if people knew all that, if they were taught those things, how much more they would treasure the Mass and all the sacraments, actually, And so she came to mind, Madame Benjamin, and that's why I think she liked being in the church because, she felt peace then. And I
Mm.
don't know what kind of sorrows she had to go through because I was only a little girl, but um, I just remember how beautiful she was. And she was an older lady, but she would let me. She had like really round cheeks, and oh, she was so beautiful. And she would let me touch her face, and she was just a really sweet lady. So I immortalized her in my.
Well, I'm glad you did because it was very lovely to read about that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I often wonder, I often wish I could see all that was happening spiritually during the Mass. Just reading saints, the account of saints. Like I recently read this book about Padre Pio, and it was fantastic. And just his experiences during the Mass, just this book was sharing about that. It was
Yeah.
just incredible just to think of all the saints and all the angels that are there. And I look around like our small chapel. I'm like, really? Like, wow, that's
They're all in
incredible.
here. Yeah.
They're all in here.
And they really are there. It's like so beautiful. It's great. So and that's the kind of stuff I did not get as a child, like in my regular life, like a constant feeding of that kind, you know. So I think in our time, I think it's starting to develop more with younger people, and um, I think they're starting to be hungry for it. So we'll see, how it works out. but I think
Yeah.
the young are going to bring us forward in the church, like to bring it all back and to understand what it all means and to settle it in. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a blessing for
It
us.
definitely is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
And so, you already answered a question I was going to ask you about mothering and writing in your when you were a mother in littles. And you said that you didn't, but you mentioned that you taught them a lot of drama and art. What, or not art, but drama. What got you into that, and what sparked that?
Well, we were in a homeschool co-op, and they had drama for little kids, but they didn't have drama as the kids were getting older. So I chose to offer, excuse me, to offer an older drama. So I took the 13-year-olds and up, and we did our first one was Pride and Prejudice, and they wrote music for it. They just the creativity was amazing, and we put that one on, and then after that we had older kid drama, and then I became also a drama teacher at a small 3-day a week school, a hybrid school, and we did several really really great. We did Romeo and Juliet. We did what else? Little Women. We had several. Anne of Green Gables. We did, and then we also did um, the play by Murder in the Cathedral by T.S. Eliot. So I kept throwing harder and harder things at these kids, and it was like they did it. It was amazing. And they understood what they were doing too. So I think we shortchange high school kids in drama by thinking that they're not going to be able to do it, but they really come to the fore, and it's amazing what you see. I think drama is really great. I have a really good friend, Catherine, and we're always like, if they only knew that drama was like the team sport for kids who can't play sports, it's like, and it fulfills so much of like what they need, to get rid of emotion and to play somebody else, and so they can, they can emote and they don't have to be worried about it. And there's so many things in drama that are so good for high school kids. So, and then I after that I started a small theater called Patchwork Theater, and it was basically put together from all the really good kids who really wanted to move on with drama after high school, and so we put together a small ensemble cast, and we did a bunch of plays then too. And then I finally retired from that because it's a lot of work, and I gave all of my stuff to my friend Catherine, she teaches drama at Hillsdale Academy up in by Hillsdale College, and I drove it all up there. I said, "Here it is," and so she took it, and she's still teaching drama there. So, yeah,
Oh, that's so amazing.
Mhm. It
That's
was
something
fun.
I would love to do one day. I mean, I say that, but just because, like, you're right, it
You
does allow
should.
you to do that. I remember you're helping me bring back memories of when I was in high school, and I really wanted to be a part of a play, and I prepared because you had to audition. I remember there's a part you had to sing, and I'm not a strong singer. And so
I'm not
they like
either.
just okay. The like person was at the piano, she like played her piece and then they waited and I was like and nothing came out. And they're
Oh
like, okay,
no.
let's just try again. And I was like, okay. And they played and nothing came out. And then
Oh,
the third time it happened and I just was like, I just walked away. So sad.
I'm meant for other things. I
Yes.
don't do I don't do musicals, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
with you.
Yeah, so that's been my only experience. Like, I think I ended up working at the backstage because I'm like, I can't be in front because I'm too terrified.
It just won't come out.
It just wouldn't come out.
Well, see, I can direct, but I can't get up there. I
Oh,
can I can direct. all my kids are hams, but if I have to get up and give a talk or something, ugh, I just I can't do it. But and I'm not an actor, but I can direct and let them know what I want to see. So
Yeah. Huh. No, and that's a gift even in and of itself.
yeah.
Um, so going back to your writing and your Substack, it's titled The Inscapist. Can you please share what that means and why you chose that title or that name?
So that's a word that was coined by Gerard Manley Hopkins, the poet. It's called inscaping, and he got it from studying Duns Scotus, a philosopher. I don't know all the ins and outs of the philosophy of it, but the main premise is that each part of creation um, reveals a specific facet of God. And so, what humans are supposed to do is look and observe and to find him because he's speaking in everything. And inscaping is looking for him in all of those little pieces. So you can find him in nature for sure. You can find him in other people by just studying other people. Um, Not in a creepy way, but like you just wow, that was an amazing thing they just did. Or so it makes you uber observant if you follow it, and that's what I really wanted to do. And I stare a lot. Like I love particulars of things. And Flannery O'Connor said that the writer is allowed to stare because that's where they get all of their fodder. So, and I've always done it, but I've done it more now that I've understood what it means because all the things I see in my life, no matter what your life is, you don't have to be famous or anything, all the things I see will not be what you see. And so what you do is you tell me what you saw when you escaped and I tell you. So it's almost like a bonding of the mystical body, and we're all basically saying, "Oh, he's over here, he's here, he's here, he's here, he's over here." And so it's like trying to find him and honoring him in the search for him. So he's there, but you have to go find him. And it honors God that we actually try to do it. And Gerard Manley Hopkins, he would go on these walks and he, he was so great. He would just fall on his knees and he would look at blades of grass with like dew dripping down. And then when someone would cut a tree down, it would just kill him because it was like all the inscapes, all the things we could have discovered from God in that one tree they're gone now, and He won't be able to speak to us through those. And I found that to be so beautiful, and I love him as a poet. So I named it the Inscapist because I'm not the big picture kind of person. I find God very small, and I find him more grandiose the smaller I go. And so my camera is always like it's on, focused all the way focused all the way in, and I try to take pictures of things that are very close up to show you how beautiful they are in the micro. And so I try to do that with my writing as well. Like people like Mrs. Benjamin, then that nobody would probably remember because she wasn't famous. She was just someone who was in my life at that time when I was 4, and then she was gone. But that I remembered her and made her solid so other people could rejoice that God was so good, and so in your life as a writer, um, you see things I will never see. But then when I read your writing, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. So it's a way for the mystical body to share with one another and to be bonded, that we need one another to help us understand who God is. And that's why I call it the Inscapist, because I'm always up in a tree looking at stuff. So
That's so
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'll tell you the story, and I think you'll appreciate it just based on what you just shared. The other day, I was sitting in my car, and I just was looking out the window at our front yard, and I saw this bird, like very plump bird. I don't know what type of bird, but it had some like brown on the front of it, and he was just like walking around our lawn, but then all of a sudden he like stops and he's just very, very still. He like quickly pecks down with his beak and pulls out a worm. Like
Oh my gosh!
like a really long worm. And then it's like starts to gobble it up all the way down. And then another bird shows up, kind of like, oh hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, what is going
It's
on
like,
here?
yeah. What's that you have? And he just quickly just gobbled the whole thing up, and I just burst out laughing. It's just, but I immediately thought of that story, or where not story, where Jesus says like, don't worry about anything because I take care of the birds, I feed the birds, and I was like, that is a perfect example,
Here it
Lord.
is. And he gets a lot of friends pretty quickly, you know?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. It was so fun to see that because I've seen something like that like in a cartoon or like a movie, but just to actually see this bird like
Yeah, it's like, whoa, they really
yeah,
do it.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow, God, thank you for allowing me to see that. Like I know for most people they were like, oh, it's just a bird eating a worm, but I'm like that was really
No,
great, Lord.
it's like a surprise. It's like if you've never seen it
Yeah.
before, you're like, it really does do. They really do this. You know, it's pretty
Yes.
neat. So yeah, I
Yeah.
understand why you were excited.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, so Denise, just as we wrap up, would love to just I have two questions. One, what are you currently reading? I know it's probably not just one book. So let's start with
Oh,
that.
it's a ton. It's a ton of books. Let's see. Well, I'm reading. She's one of my favorites. Do you know her, Carol Hauslander?
Yes, yes. A friend
Mhm.
recently gave me one of her books. Yes.
So these are her letters to people during World War II, and they're
Mm,
really, really beautiful. Um,
mm,
and then I'm reading this. It's not specifically religious, but I love it. It's A Year in the Maine Woods.
mm.
That's one of my naturalist guys. And then I'm a I'm an oblate of Saint Benedict. I
Oh.
became an oblate, a lay oblate in November of 25.
Mm,
So I made my early promises. This is so God inspired, but I made my early promises in October of 24, and I found out I had cancer in November of that year. So it was almost like Benedict said, okay, I will accompany you. So
mm,
I was preparing for my final promises the next year in November, but he came with me all the way through that year. And that was such a gift from God.
mm,
So he's, one of the things I read every day is, you have to do this as an oblate, is his rule. And it's a great book. Everybody should read it. I think he's the most lay friendly saint, even though people think, oh, well, he's a monk, I have nothing in common. We are domestic churches, and, he's so apropos for a lot of what we do as laymen. And this is a commentary on the rule for oblates, which I love a lot. So I'm reading that. And then I just finished this book. Um, well, I finished two. I usually don't finish very many books. This one, it's kind of
Oh.
an odd book, but I love it so much. It's called Liturgies of the Wild, and it's by an Englishman who he wrote a book about coming back to the Orthodox Church, and he talks about modern world and how um, people don't see the wildness of the faith in a good sense, the beauty in the wild. It's a lovely book if you know someone who is thinking about coming back to the faith but is kind of messed up by secularism. So it's a really good book. And then, if you don't mind, this one is really pretty. It's a Japanese book that my son gave me, and it's just about a man who went up into the mountains to find the old Japan. He wanted the beauty of old Japan and the art, and it's just a little story he tells about that. So,
Oh,
and
I
that's
love
what I'm
it.
reading, right? And other stuff too. Well, the sides of your bed are probably loaded to the top.
Yes. It's funny you say that because I keep telling my husband, "Can you build another bookshelf?" He's like, "No,
I need another
I
bookshelf.
need another." He's like, "Where are we gonna put this?" I'm like, "Well, we could."
When you start making coffee tables out of your books, then you know you need another bookshelf.
Yes, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
We have books everywhere. Oh, that's so great. And
Well,
I
what are
have to
you reading?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. So I feel like I go through these spurts where I read a lot and then life gets busy and then I stop. This is a side note. We recently got chickens. um,
Oh no!
like baby chicks, and so that's consumed a lot of my
Oh, I'm
mental
in
energy.
awe of that. That's great.
It's been really fun, but like we're building a chicken run. It's a whole thing. So
Okay.
So I have a book on chickens that I am like kind of reading here and there, but there's a book that recently came out by Sherry Waddell about intercessory prayer, and I love the Catherine of Siena Institute and all that they do to help people discover their charisms, and I love praying for people, and so I'm really enjoying her book. There's a book on by oh gosh, Cardinal Sarah on silence. And that is such a treasure. And so I'm
Mhm.
slowly reading that. There's a new book by Patrick O'Hearn about humility that I'm also reading. Trying to think. I would say those are the ones, like the top ones that
Okay.
I'm juggling in between the chickens.
Those are all new to me. Now I'm gonna have to go get them.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Especially, I highly recommend Cardinal Sarah's book. Like, it's just, uh, like I didn't think there could be so much said about silence, but each page I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't even think about this. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really, really love it.
And
So
he has
highly
such a
recommend.
beautiful presentation. I love him so much. Yeah.
Yes, yes. He's one person I'd love to meet in person and just just sit and listen to him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Keep talking. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, but that's it. And I'm trying to find time to write more. And that's always a challenge. Like I do write for a Catholic and Women in Business. I write reflections for them once a month, but I have the short story that I've been working on, but I'm like too terrified to share with anybody except for my husband and one friend.
Yeah, it's
So yeah.
so hard. It is. And I admire you for being able to do your writing now, can you departmentalize? Some people can compartmentalize, which I love. It's so beautiful. I have a friend named Katie. She's written several books, but she has a lot of kids, but she figures out a way to parcel her time. But I'm one of those writers who has to totally immerse myself and just keep going until I'm done. And so that didn't lend itself to having a lot of kids. And
Yeah.
so I had to give it up for until I got older. But I really admire you trying and doing the publication every month and trying to write your short story. It's pretty amazing. to be able
Oh,
to do
thank you. I like it's so life-giving, and so that's why I'm like when I write, I'm like, oh, like I don't think about anything else. And so I feel drawn closer to God in the process. So
that.
it's
Yeah.
too good to give up. And I'm like,
It is. And it
yeah.
feeds you, it feeds your life, right now. So that's really great. That's really great.
Um,
So, yeah.
well, thank you. So as we wrap up, my final question is just what advice would you give to anyone wanting to improve on their writing and to just, yeah, become a better writer?
Um, I think there's two things. I think you should be um, a better reader. Like you should read all sorts of things, and you should try poetry, and you should try things that aren't in your comfort zone. But you should always be reading a book of some sort because it feeds your thought, and your thoughts, feed your writing. So I would say read a lot, and then also just keep writing. Like I write best when I come home from mass in the morning. So, um, but sometimes there's nothing there to write. There's nothing in my head. But if you sit down and you make sure you're there at the same time every day and you write something, it doesn't have to be like polished or finished. That's why Facebook was always so great for me because it was my Facebook. It didn't matter if the punctuation was, and it was friends reading it, but it gave me practice, and it made me put down thoughts that I could expound on later on. And so um, I think just trying to write every day, and it doesn't have to be, you know profound, but you do need to practice putting your thoughts together, even if it's just a paragraph every day. And sometimes it won't happen. I mean, you won't be inspired, but then later on in the afternoon, you're like, "Ugh," So I would say practice and read a lot of books if you can. So I do understand being a mom is hard, but um, that's how I came to writing again, was reading again. So because I didn't read anything really except textbooks and stuff to my kids when I was teaching, but after that, I started reading what I wanted to read, and it really does feed your writing life a lot.
Mm,
So
that's great.
that would be it.
No, that's good advice. Well, thank you so much, Denise, for your time. It was such a
Yeah.
pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you for
Um,
inviting me. This was lovely. It was
this really
wonderful.
was.
Yeah.
And thank you all for listening. And remember, when you say yes to God, you change the world. God bless you and see you at the next episode. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share this episode with someone that may enjoy it. Please also consider giving the podcast a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you and God bless.